Hi, this is Zak Mir with a special edition of Charting Multibaggers here on Share Talk, trying to find some of the characteristics, charting characteristics that you see ahead of big moves in small cap stocks. And something I noticed with somebody who's posting on Twitter at the moment, the Ellipses, which seem to be quite useful in terms of filtering situations. Obviously, at the moment, we're in a very strong bull market for small caps. It's impossible to buy every single positive-looking stock at the moment. You've got to really narrow it down, and the narrowing down obviously means that some will fall by the wayside, and some winners will fall by the wayside. And also, you want to try and avoid being stuck in with sort of dead money, dead positions, where stock will be stuck with you for weeks or even months before breaking out. You can see on the daily chart of Argo Blockchain, the shares basically did nothing between, let's say, the end of November the end of November 2019, and basically the beginning of November this year. All the while they were in this ellipse pattern, which I've drawn here, and sort of fits. The things to note here really are you really need the intro of the ellipse to fit. So you have a resistance coming in there at the beginning of the that particular shape. Obviously, we bounced off the low there, hit that top there, and then going into the breakout that we actually had in the end in mid-October, late October. You tend to have a breakout through the side of the ellipse and with a strong green candle, sort of a starting gun to the rally. The idea here is that after being trapped within a range for so long, then there will be a logjam effect out of the ellipse, and that's really the theory behind ellipse breaks that I'm trying to illustrate here. Obviously, the rest is history in terms of what we've seen on the daily chart. But the breakout was clean, and obviously it's been an accelerating phenomenon ever since. We'll see how far we go with that situation. Another example here with comes in the form of Avacta. With Avacta, again, there was an extended period of consolidation before the break higher. So here we had something where we were basically in the doldrums, let's say, the shares trading around the 20 pence zone, either side of 20 pence. But we had a nice hit there at the top of the ellipse, and then going into the eventual breakout, another bounce off the floor of that particular formation. Telltale sign again in terms of the breakout. With the long candle outside, and in fact a gap through the 50-day moving averages, which is one of our favored signals. Anyway, obviously you could use or wait for a break of that last resistance, but the idea here really is that a break of an extended ellipse, one that's been in place for months, should unleash a strong move, and not one that you should just job out of after a couple of days. So that is really the message, and in this case, clearly the shares doubled and tripled and did more after that extended ellipse breakout. Stock which did the same kind of thing last year as well was DevClever. Here we had a base for the shares between October 2019 and April this year. Again, we had the shares being quite loyal to the ellipse, so touch points there again in a sort of extended base there in January, one peak there in February, and then back to the floor. So really loyal to that ellipse, and the more loyal a stock is in terms of the peaks and troughs, the more that one would expect. Once the breakout occurred, it will be a sustained one and a multi-bagger one. So hopefully the message is getting across with these different examples. On to online blockchain, which one could have been stuck in for months or even years perhaps, but in this situation, if I can get the thing to narrow down here, we had basically a rather more rounded formation, but again from the end of 2018 to the end of last year, we had the shares basically bumping along the bottom, but that peak there and that trough there in April really drawing out the ellipse in a decent way. Vertical move through the right-hand side of the ellipse, and clearly we haven't looked back since. So again, an illustration that you can let the ellipse bide the stock's time for you, and then wait for the big breakout to occur afterwards. Just a couple more examples, maybe just to get the message home. I think Orphan was another example where we had 2-3 month base there for the shares. Very helpful that we had the bounce off the floor and the resistance there just ahead of the breakout through 7 pence. Also that echoed the peak there in July 2019. So very well fitting ellipse, and we have not really looked back ever since. I want to go on to something more current. The first one is remote monitored systems. Here we had an example of the shares breaking out of a floor, and I'll show you that. That was an extended, a very long extended move there. So between May 2019 until October, let's say October last year, we had the shares bouncing well off the floor and then also having resistance there just before the breakout. So that was a pretty good illustration that we're going to have a multi-bagger move, which we actually did. What's interesting now is that there's a new ellipse that we've just bounced off after that peak there in the very sharp volatile price action for November. The floor there, which was suspected, I have to say, around the 1.2, 1.3 pence area, did work, and basically at the moment we've got the prospect or the possibility that we'll hit the top of this ellipse, or more like a circle, towards 5 or 6 pence over the next few weeks. And clearly the shares have to remain within this ellipse area, hopefully above the 1.8 to 2 pence area, ahead of a move to hit the ellipse at some point over the next few weeks. Stock which we're waiting, we're just actually getting a breakout, is Blue Star Capital, which has taken a long time to break out here, but it looks as though we're finally through it. So holding above basically 0.21 pence, and the break of the 2.21 pence level over the last week or so does suggest that we're finally out of this consolidation, which has gone on for over a year, and ideally investors would have loved to have just not been looking at this until the 0.21 pence break. Now we've had several false dawns here, so the idea of the ellipse is to remove that waiting on a breakout for some shares. Here we've got the situation that it does look as though we've broken out of the ellipse, and hopefully we'll have a relatively vertical move over coming weeks for the shares. Another situation which is looking encouraging at the moment is Enquest. Here you can see that the shares have just broke out last week, really, or the beginning of the month, out of this falling ellipse after being in that consolidation mode for 6 months or so. We've got confidence that this is a proper breakout after the multiple tests at the top of the ellipse there over the course of November and December, and hopefully while we remain above 11 pence we can have a decent strong move to the upside towards 20 pence and beyond. So let's see how that particular situation pans out. Situation that's already panning out quite well is Versarien, one which I actually missed myself because I try and avoid, as I said, having a dead money situation. But here is in terms of the ellipse breakout, it was at 47 pence at the turn of the month, and it looks as though we're getting the classic vertical move here out of the side of an ellipse that will hopefully mean that this is not just a quick rally which will fade, but one which will have a decent move, maybe towards 80 to 100 pence over the next few weeks. Stock we're waiting on at the moment, but hopefully this particular technical strategy will work on, is Kibo. Looks as though we probably need just to get that 0.25 pence level cleared. As you can see, the shares have been in the dead zone since March, and so if this proves to be that 0.25 is the the final breakout for the shares, and we'll get a decent move like we saw at the beginning or the end of the beginning of 2020, then that would be quite a coup for this type of charting approach. Just a couple of stocks to go now. One which is looking interesting to me at the moment is Midatech Pharma. These shares have obviously had many false dawns over the recent past, and it'll be interesting to see whether this particular break, which we have definitively had out of the ellipse with that long candle on Friday, and the multiple tests of the floor of the ellipse in previous recent days, if this one will be the move where the shares will spike towards 50 or 60 and actually maintain that rather than just coming all the way back the next day. So a very good test, I think, on Midatech Pharma to see whether that will prove the merits of ellipse trading, so to speak. Finishing off with ValiRx, where we're still waiting for a potential move here. Probably want to see the shares through 24 pence, something like that, on an end of day close basis. Might see that early next week. If we can see that, then hopefully we'll have the type of move that we had in August to September coming through. That would be again quite a coup. Almost hoping for a repeat of the breakout that we had at that month, where we just had to break 11 pence to get a move, which eventually took the shares to 70 towards the 70 pence area. So that is a very interesting, I think, setup there for ValiRx if we can get to 24, 25 pence over the next few days. That's it for me today. More updates tomorrow.